Mini Battleship was intended to be one of our easier problems. The game of Battleship, you may have heard of it, is a game where each player has a grid and they place ships on the grid that's hidden from their opponent. The opponent calls out a square on the grid, and you have to tell the opponent whether that was a hit or a miss. So the problem in Mini Battleship was you're given a smaller version of Battleship, no more than 5x5 grid and a few ships, and you're given a grid of hits and misses, and you have to determine the maximum number of possible arrangements of your opponent's ships. And I've got an example here on the board. Down below we see where a 5x5 grid with two ships, one vertically oriented over here, one horizontally oriented over here, and here if you called out these three grid squares, you would have two misses and a hit. So the input would be on the top here. You'd be given this grid, and plus you would know what kind of ships are out there. And the orientation of the ships is not important. So for instance, for this ship, it's not important whether it's facing north or south. All that's really important is the three squares that it covers. And Mini Battleship can be solved with a simple recursive branch and bound, or sorry, not branch and bound, a simple recursive solution, a backtracking solution. All you have to do is try to place all the ships. We determined that the maximum number of placements was on a 5x5 grid with 5 ships of size 2, and it turns out to be in the neighborhood of 18 million. 18 million in a programming contest is enough to count one by one. So you really didn't need any tricky counting algorithms or any tricky ways of condensing that count. You could recurse through and count them one by one. There were 2 tricks that you needed to be aware of. Of course, you needed to look for every ship that was, if it was placed horizontally, and every ship if it was placed vertically, except if the ship was of size 1. If the ship was of size 1, then the horizontal and vertical arrangements are really the same, and you risk double counting. The other tricky thing you needed to watch for is as you place them, if you got all 5 ships or all the ships placed, you had to make sure that there weren't any spare hits that you didn't cover with a ship. And those were really the only 2 tricky parts. Other than that, a simple recursive solution is really all you need for this problem.